Hello gamers, do you know what game we're talking about today? No? I'm the one who's meant to know that. Oh, well luckily I do. And to be honest, if you've seen the title or the thumbnail or the gameplay while I said that, you probably could also guess if you know the game by now. But to start off with, I'm not a particularly massive fan of this genre, and after playing this game, I am still not a fan of them. That being fighting games, I absolutely suck at them. I'm like the definition of a button mash and pray sort of player. But what fighting game am I putting myself through the agony of playing today, and why am I deciding to play it? Well, that second point is the story. I absolutely love the idea that this story is putting forward, so that's why I'm playing it. And of course the game I am playing is that of Injustice 2, a DC superhero fighting game. Of course, fighting games need fighters for you to play as, and since it's a DC game, you get to play as some of your favourite heroes and villains from the DC catalogue. So what were some of my favourites, aka the easiest to button mash with, because once again, I suck at fighting games? Well, those would be Black Canary, who I found a very easy combo attack to attack people with and just use that constantly. And the Scream attack has a nice amount of range. And ranged attacks work very well when you are fighting people who are traditionally close combat fighters. I also watched the Arrow TV show back when that was around, so you know. And then there is Blue Beetle, who just looks cool to be honest and has a cool power, and I'm able to do okay with him. And then of course there's the Super Twins or cousins, Superman slash Clark Kent slash Kal-El and Supergirl slash Kara Zor-El. However, I don't think in this game she used the name Kara Danvers, which will make sense when we talk about the game's story, the main reason I played the game. But anyways, I feel Superman and Supergirl were just easiest to play as because, well, that makes the most sense for a Kryptonian to be overpowered. It's kind of their thing. And then there are some characters that I just absolutely sucked the most at. That mainly being the Caped Crusader himself, Batman. I despised playing as Batman. I think it's because you need to string together the right attacks as Batman, and my therefore before mentioned attack method of button mashing doesn't really work well. But anyways, moving on from why I hate Batman in this game, one other thing I want to quickly touch on is more of a question I want to pose towards you people who play fighting games. Why do fighting games always have an incredibly good, amazing looking cutscenes? It's like they don't need to spend as much money on level design or other things, so they throw all the extra budget into the cutscenes, which I'm not complaining about. It's just I'm always shocked to see how impressive some of the fighting game cutscenes really look. And the reason they don't need to spend as much on level design is, like other fighting games, they use the same couple stages a bunch of times, and for the most part, none of them stand out to me as particularly anything special. And also, a lot of the times in the story, it doesn't quite make sense while you're at that part of the cutscene. Like, it's like you see in the cutscene, but like you shouldn't be there at that point in the game, but you're fighting in that stage. But anyways, did any of them stand out as good or anything I particularly liked about them? Well, there's two that I can think of. One I liked would be Gorilla Grodd's compound map where his society hangs out, as it just looked cool. Like, it was a cool looking map. And then there is the stage which is just at a bar. And every stage has interactive objects. Like in the Batcave, you can run over your opponent with the bat bike, or you can throw objects at them in any stage. So what is the interactive feature from the bar? Well, there are people sitting at the bar, and you can throw them like they're ragdolls, which is just wild. Like, some of the people you play as wouldn't really use people as weapons. But whenever I pick someone up and toss them at my opponent across the stage, I get just a little chuckle every time I do it. But now it's finally time to talk about the sole reason I brought this game to play. And that is not just the story, but 2 points in the story that have always interested me. That being Superman turning quote unquote evil, and how would you detain an evil Superman? Now, of course, there are a lot of comics that do evil Superman. Hell, I'm also pretty sure there is a version of Superman that landed in the USSR instead of Smallville. But I mean, I can't read. Who reads comics anyways? So let's look into the story. Also, just super quick tidbit, I should mention this game is titled Injustice 2. So there is a Injustice 1. I have not played it and I don't know its story. But that's okay, as I think 2 stands alone pretty well as its own story. So let's get right into it. So the game opens up with Kara Zor-El running from Brainiac's robots as they attack Krypton, only for Kara to meet up with her mother, who informs her that the planet is dying, exploding from the inside, but her uncle has made escape pods just big enough to fit her and his son, Kal-El, to escape the planet and travel to a planet much like Krypton where they can survive. However, as they are fleeing the debris of the planet, Kara's pod is knocked off course. When they flash cut forward many years later, Robin and Batman flying over Gotham City on their way to Arkham to stop Superman from killing all of the prisoners, as he has gone just a little bit mad after the Joker killed Lois. When Cyborg hacks the Batplane and forces them to eject, Batman then fighting Cyborg to stop him, as he is one of the many heroes who has sided with Superman in his decision to kill more people sort of approach to crime fighting. That includes Wonder Woman, who is standing guard outside of the asylum to stop Batman and Robin. And after doing that twice, fighting Wonder Woman twice, as I mentioned, not very good at fighting games, Batman takes down Wonder Woman, coming face to face with the evil caped hero himself. Batman using a red solar grenade to weaken Superman in order to take him down. However, after doing so, Robin kills an inmate, saying that he was raised by the League of Assassins, not by Bruce Wayne. Which, good point, Bruce. Like, Bruce doesn't want his Robins to kill people, but then he sent them to train under the League of Assassins. League of Assassins. If Ezio has taught me anything, assassins kill people. But anyways, after beating up Superman and his own son, Superman stops them as he flies off with Robin to live to fight another day. However, that day seems to have happened off screen, as the game cuts forward again a couple more years, where Superman had created a regime of killer heroes, but Batman had used his particular skills, aka money, to capture all of the regime, including his son Damian. And now Bruce is trying to rebuild Gotham and Metropolis, as they were leveled during the fighting. But Bruce is meeting with Oliver and Dinah, and taking them to the Batcave to meet Brother's Eye, Bruce's supercomputer, and its operator, Harley Quinn, where the computer has identified Grodd as a threat, as he is starting his own supervillain team, the Society. However, Bruce is unable to send a military force, as the whole world is still recovering from the rampage that was the regime. And Bruce himself cannot leave Gotham, or else it will incite fear in the general populace. So Bruce sends Harley Quinn, Oliver Queen, and Dinah Lance off to a swamp in order to stop some of Scarecrow's fear toxin from getting to Grodd and his Society. And then we get a cutscene showing Supergirl doing a classic Kryptonian thing, floating above the earth, seemingly soaking in the sun, as she returns to where she has been hiding out with Black Adam and Wonder Woman, planning to free Superman. Kara not a massive fan of being cooped up hiding, as she already spent 10 years in cryosleep in her pod, and now she is trapped inside a hidden city. But on the other side of the world, kind of, not really, the city's in Egypt, we're going to somewhere in Africa, which is, Egypt is also in Africa, but on the other side of the world is a bad transition. So, on the other side of the world, Oliver, Dinah and Harley are off to find out what's going on in Grodd's society, as Bruce has had some information from an inside source. Fighting some lower level members, then Dr. Fate showing up to save them, warning them of a grave danger that the Earth is in. And he wants to save Oliver and Dinah as he likes them. Of course, Oliver and Dinah refusing to leave, sending Fate on his way, and then fighting Grodd himself. However, as Oliver slaps some cuffs on Gorilla Grodd, he starts to laugh maniacally. That is not how you say that word. But it's also probably not how you say Dinah's name. Like, I think that's how they say it in the game, but that's not how I remember it being said. But anyways, we see a massive ship that we have seen before, as we saw the destruction of Krypton, as Brainiac beams up the two of them and launches an attack on Earth, sending out a bunch of drones as he did back on Krypton, and also hacking into Bruce's brother eye, leaving the world ripe for the taking. Meaning Bruce needs to recruit a team to defeat the world-destroying Brainiac. Starting off with recalling the Flash, someone who was sent away after siding with Superman, but not imprisoned. Bruce gets back in contact with Barry Allen, sending him to Metropolis to help save the people being rounded up by Brainiac's robots, where he runs into members of the society. As it turns out, Grodd was working with Brainiac. However, Catwoman was an undercover operative for Bruce in the society and helps Quinn escape. Flash, however, runs into Reverse Flash and they have a fight, as they are destined to do in all games and movies and TV shows and comics ever. Then, after finally vanishing his foe for about the 1000th time, the Green Lantern shows up for a quick fight with the Flash, after which they both get along and go back to the Batcave, as they were both members of the regime and they sort of understood each other after the fight, but of course the fight had to happen first because it's a fighting game. Anyways, where Batman figures in the Batcave that he needs to widen his sphere of trust. As the Flash and Lantern were once again both ex-regime members, he sends the Lantern off to recruit another ex-regime member, that being Aquaman, who hasn't left Atlantis since the regime's fall, and of course doesn't want to help until Atlantis itself comes under attack, which is a good time as Brainiac moves forward his attack to weaken Earth's defenses. Of course, the real question is that of Superman, who is still imprisoned, and Bruce has Firestorm and Blue Beetle guarding him. But with the confusion and Brainiac's attack going on, Black Adam, Wonder Woman and Kara Zor-El use this time to attack the prison, with Black Adam and Wonder Woman taking on the heroes of Firestorm and Blue Beetle, whilst Kara, who just wants to help people, has been sent to free the operatives of the regime, freeing the likes of Nightwing and Cyborg, using Cyborg to then hack into his cell to free Superman. And as the heroes start to lose the fight against Cyborg, Wonder Woman, Black Adam and Kara Zor-El, Firestorm starts to use his Firestorm Matrix to summon the power of a nuke in his hand, when luckily, just in time, Batman shows up to stop him and then frees Superman from his enclosure. Bruce, deep down knowing he needs as much help as he can get, as Superman agrees, as they all return to the Batcave to come up with a plan, with the lesser heroes fighting and bickering, as Superman and Batman get them in line, knowing they need each other, at least for a short while, to stop Brainiac. And maybe they don't want to kill each other, kind of, having a little moment over the Justice League table which Bruce had kept under a blanket. But anyways, they all have their plan, so they are off to action. Catwoman, Cyborg, and Harley Quinn go to the Batcave in an attempt to disconnect Brainiac from Brother's Eye, where Superman goes to his fortress to power up, quote unquote, because he's just spent years in a red sun cell draining his powers. And the rest go to Metropolis to save as many people as possible before launching an attack on the brainy boy himself. However, whilst fighting, Supergirl sees the true story behind the regime as Wonder Woman attempts to kill Harley Quinn in front of her. Supergirl then races off to the Fortress of Solitude to confront Superman, where they get into a bit of a fight, only stopping when Brainiac starts taking cities out of the ground. So they launch an attack on the mothership, but of course the man named Brainiac is about to outsmart them, using Superman's speed and power against him, reflecting the ship's shields at just the right time intervals.
Superman, the force shield concentrates its energy at your point of attack. Move faster than it can, and you might break through.
Got it.
Creative, but insufficient. Decrease shield refresh interval to 10 picoseconds.
To take and or kill Superman. So the team are left in a massive crater where they can't find the body of Kal-El. Even with Kara's superpowers, she cannot hear him or see him. Then Brainiac gives the team a final ultimatum. Hand over Kara Zor-El within an hour or he will blow up the planet. But of course, Batman was never going to give up Kara Zor-El. So the team come up with a final ditch effort to take down the villain. But they all need to work together because friendship, or you know, a bunch of superpowered individuals are probably more powerful together. And it's probably the most unlikely thing all of them gain along. So Brainiac might not expect it. So Cyborg goes to the Batcave in order to try to manipulate the device that he used to block Brainiac's connection to Brother's Eye and attempt to use it to block his connection to his ship, which is hardwired into his brain, and that's how he controls the ship. And Black Adam and Aquaman go to, I'm sorry for this pronunciation, it's the only reason, I only say it one time in this script, Kagnadak? The hidden city that Black Adam inherits, to use a super powerful magical object, which they then use Aquaman's trident to channel the power of that magical object, as they then use it to shoot a hole in Brainiac's shield, of course the shield being weak towards magic. But first, they have to fight Oliver and Dinah, who were being mind controlled by Grodd, but after taking Grodd out, freeing them from his control. And luckily, the plan worked, getting Bruce and Kara onto the mothership just in time. However, when entering the ship, they come across millions, if not billions of people trapped in simulated versions of their stolen cities. Kara still being able to hear every single one of them scream. including her home city from Krypton. But Brainiac then uses this to get the jump on them, taking Kara to the back somewhere to be experimented on, and about to kill Bruce when Superman shows up to save him. But they have to fight some more of their friends, fighting their way through Firestorm and Swamp Thing, who had once again been controlled by Brainiac, as Dr. Fate shows up again to try to stop them, as Brainiac is now the best way to save the universe, where having enough of some helmet telling them what to do, Superman takes him out and destroys the Mask of Fate, once and for all, severing Dr. Fate's connection to the gods. But then it's on to Brainiac himself using Superman to weaken him, which was probably the second hardest fight I had to do in the game. But either way, after weakening him enough, Bruce can then use the device made by Cyborg to cut him off from the ship, freeing Kara Zor-El in the process, and his drones who are about to cut her open, and of course his sub-ships that were about to blow up the planet. However, the mothership starts to crash, disconnected from Brainiac, meaning no one was controlling the ship, where Superman takes control using his mind in an attempt to save the billions of cities aboard the ship, as Brainiac gets back up, leading us swiftly onto the worst fight in the whole game. It took me stupidly long to beat Brainiac as the Caped Crusader. I think in this video I've described both Superman and Batman as the Caped Crusader. I don't know why I would describe Superman as the Caped Crusader. That just came into my mind. I think I'm stupid. Ignore when I describe Superman as the Caped Crusader. I'm sorry, that's stupid. It's obviously referring to Batman. But after finally beating Brainiac as Batman, we are now confronted with the same problem as the start of the game. Is killing okay? The team is once again divided, as we are not given the choice to kill him, but we are given the choice for who we side with, Superman or Batman, Bruce or Clark, good or kind of evil. I, of course, chose the Bat, as his seemed less evil. Like, on one side, I do think people like Brainiac, probably even the Joker and all that, probably do need to be killed. It shouldn't be the decision of one hero to make that decision. But once again, you sort of understand where Superman was coming from, wanting to kill these people. But at the same time, Superman's a literal god, basically, and the Joker was just a person with a mental illness, basically. But anyway, since I picked Batman, that means I had to make my way through all of Superman's regime, that being, of course, Aquaman, Black Adam, and Wonder Woman. And then the caped boyo himself, Supes. After knocking him out cold with the help of a kryptonite-powered suit, which looks cool as hell. I love when Batman gets some fancy suits. Anyways, after defeating him, Kara and Bruce imprison the regime again, sending Clark into the Phantom Zone this time, as Clark swears he will return. And of course, Bruce says, "We'll be ready." Godman Batman has some awesome lines when it comes to Superman, but as Kara reflects on what Kal-El has done to the House of L's symbol, making people fear it, as of course it was a symbol of hope on Krypton. As Batman says, they can fix it, they can change people's minds. She can change people's minds, reforming the Justice League. As the screen fades to black and the credits roll. So, how was the story? I mean, overall, I liked it a lot, as it wasn't just a story about evil Superman, but you can kind of reason with him. Like, the Joker killed the love of his life and blew up the city he had sworn to protect. That is enough of a reason to drive anyone to killing that person. But once again, does that also at the same time justify Superman killing every criminal? Like, yes, Joker, as I said before, probably deserved to die. But does the guy who held up the gas station because he can't afford medicine for his baby, does he deserve to die as much as the Joker? Probably not. I think that's like a moral dilemma sort of problem, like the tram problem, kind of. Not really. But anyways, I also think it shows how mentally strong in his beliefs that Bruce also has to be. As think of all the people Bruce has lost. Not just his parents obviously, but 2 or 3 Robins have died directly in front of him. At least one of them, from my memory, being caused directly by the Joker. Of course, they all came back through the Lazarus pit or whatever resurrection they wanted to use in that comic. But hey, this video has been going on for a lot longer than I thought it had, or I thought it would ever be, to be honest, while playing the game. So I'm going to finish it off with my favourite Batman quote of all time, as that seems cringe, and cringe is funny.
It is a remarkable dichotomy. In many ways, Clark is the most human of us all. Then, he shoots fire from the skies, and it is difficult not to think of him as a god. And how fortunate we all are that it does not occur to him